Yo, yo, yo. What's poppin'? See if we can get this thing to work out here. First stream with the new webcam. It's much more zoomed out, much more, it's 1080p, so it's not actually as busted, as scuffed as the other ones have been. So while I try and figure this stuff out. I think the main issue is... Oh, okay. But yeah, I'm pretty sure the main issue here is... since it's a circle and not what it was normally, right? Like this is... Just has to be... I have to be bigger now. So that's kind of stupid. I'll have to create an actual overlay for the mod streams then. Which I think is about time. I was thinking about that earlier. Is like... Maybe it doesn't have to be an overlay per se, but something where it's a little bit more visually distinctive than just what we have here. So anyway, don't mind me if I'm fiddling with stuff consistently. Just trying to get a comfortable setup here. But yeah, at some point we'll be able to zoom in with the new overlay. We'll see. Can't hardware zoom it. I don't know if it's just not a feature of this webcam, but every zoom slider I can find, like I think there was one, yeah, configure video, where in camera control, like, yeah, like stuff like the brightness seems to work fine, right? For some reason I can't. I'll just hit default. But for some reason, while I can edit stuff like this, there's nothing that happens when I zoom, even when I hit apply. There's nothing. Whereas like I can't even like untick auto or whatever. So I'm assuming this just doesn't it doesn't work for this. Like there's no corresponding feature for that particular thing or something. So that would be what if I had to guess, that's what it would be. So anyway, that being said, hello and welcome. Thank you for dealing with the preamble. Did just release Semi-Pro with Richard Lewis, interview with this guy who's done a lot of interviews himself. Very gracious with his time. So that's over on the second channel. You can check that out and drop a subscribe and like that guy's comment because he just realized it. So there you go. That's that. Let's focus on some HYDRA. We got to get some work done on figuring out exactly what we are doing with the tech trees. So I'm going to open up my tier list here, and there are some things on this list that, in theory, iquare was able to bang out earlier today while I was snoozing, while I was recovering and resting ahead of my epic interview. So looks like Firegraph is going to kill itself in a second. Oh no, never mind. My cursor was spinning for some other reason. So we're just going to go ahead and build this. I'm also going to jump over here and check to see if there was any A's updates. I don't believe there were. Of course, get ahead can just freeze. Get was a mistake. I like that commit message for myself. Okay, perfect. So the changes that iquare should have, he said that he was able to, he hasn't tested it yet, but he's memory patched the issues with the AI attacks. And he's also memory patched the issues, sorry, AI arbiters not attacking. That was the thing that was presumably patched. I don't know if this will end up even working in the long run, because maybe this means that arbiters behave really stupidly. I don't know. I'm not sure how AI use them now. Obviously, we'll have to do tests. But just in the interest of making sure that we test accurately, I'm going to spawn an arbiter for an AI. And then we'll spawn. I think it can attack. Oh no, it actually doesn't attack at all, even in situations like this. Yeah, what's up, Bowler? I did see that yesterday. So yeah, as you can see, AI-controlled arbiters, even under circumstances like this, they do not attack at all. So we're going to check that out and see if if the changes from iquare have fixed that. The other thing is, he said that he was able to fix the disruption web. Let's see. Disruption web affects air units now. That's what he told me. So he's already tested that one, but obviously we'll be. Oops. See if it'll. It looks like we're still not getting anywhere with that. Although they aren't fleeing now. I think something horrible has happened, actually. Yeah, something clearly has gone wrong. So let me take a look at what was actually changed there. Attack orders, it looks like. I don't have attack orders open, apparently. So that's... Looks like it's just arbiter checks all over the place. Wait, what? Well, you see, any future Starcraft games are going to end up being mobile, almost certainly, if I had to guess. So, anyway, this looks like I'll start by disabling the Arbiter attack hardcode that's in initialize. And we're going to see if that fixes some of the issues. And if it does, I'll just have to let him know that his stuff is bugged. Yeah, so StarCraft 2 all over you. Yeah, okay. So I think it is actually working now, okay. So it is the hard code. So we'll go ahead and ship that change for now so that we don't have to worry about that. And then we'll go ahead and test the disruption web changes so that we can at least take that one off the list. Seems to work just fine. Let's go ahead and make sure that it still works on ground units, and it does indeed seem to do that. It's pretty good. And notably, I can't attack a unit with the Corsair either, so. Overwatch strategy game? Yeah, imagine if they do Heroes of the Storm, but RTS mode. Imagine the vomit, the bile. What's up, uns? Yeah, that I was trying to figure out after I sat that episode down and released it, like the mapper ones are harder for me to do because even though I prep a lot for them, I read out a lot of questions, if their answers are super short, it's going to feel like a fluff piece. And the way that some of them have delivered responses in the past have not always led me down a proper way to segue out into a follow-up question. So I almost need to either prep even more in terms of the number of questions I write. Like, I can pull the curtain back a little bit and show you, like, essentially what the process looks like. Ignore the mess of my desktop. But if we jump into here, like, like I wrote all this stuff. This is like just questions that I had for him beforehand so that I knew how to pronounce names and stuff. And then I had like all of these questions, right? And I think most of them got asked in that particular episode. Unfortunately, like either I need to add more follow-up questions or I need to like change something else about the process, because what ends up happening more often than not is like it seems like their answers are short, and um, they're less experienced. Sometimes, in some cases, that's the first video interview they've ever done or something, right? So, ironically enough, it's a lot harder for me to handle that, because like when it comes to stuff like doing an interview with Thorin or Richard Lewis, like I just did, that's way easier. Like just because I know them well enough, because I followed a lot of their content, and because they're gonna know how to respond to a question, and sort of like they don't have any jitters as a result of that or whatever. So I guess it's a kind of obvious takeaway now, but when I was first sitting down, I was thinking that I myself might be the one who has jitters when I'm interviewing some of those other people, and that it might be harder for me to come up with questions that are like meeting the caliber of the guest. And then I quickly found out, like if you go back and watch the Pullman one, I think it might be on par with the Squidsky one in terms of the short answers and the bit of awkward pacing and stuff like that. Maybe I think maybe I was able to do a better job with the Squidsky one generally, but either way, one of the things that I think I learned from that is that when I'm talking with somebody who's more in the line of art duty, like he's more an artist, and that caught me off guard, because one of the weird things about all of these mappers is that nobody actually credits their roles most of the time. Like very rarely do you see people tagged as 3D artist or environmental artist or playtester or level designer. It's just, if you don't know who these people's roles actually are before you sit down to interview them, you have to ask them beforehand. And so while I asked him beforehand to confirm that he was primarily level design or primarily art now, there's no way I can know that ahead of time unless like I ask him when I first start off asking him and planning the date for the interview and stuff. So that's like one way that I could do it better, is like beforehand figuring out like how to tailor the interview questions to stuff that he does know about, because I want to interview him on stuff he knows about, not other shit. So yeah, ultimately it's just one of those things where as time goes on, we'll work out the kinks, and I'll be able to get a little bit more out of people who might otherwise be somewhat more difficult to coax some thoughts out. So yeah, there you go. Richard Lewis one is great though. Check that one out if you haven't already, because it's a banger. What's on the menu today? Yeah, I was just thinking about that. So since we can get rid of the disruption web, disable air weapons concept or to-do item. Yeah, of course. Happy to go into more detail and stuff like that. So it looks like we still have to, iquare still's got to take a look at some of the other bugs that I've reported. But at this point, I think most of the things, like the most impactful stuff that I can do, is AI related changes, I think. There's not much that I can do on a programming side that will help with a lot of what we already have. I mean, I could hunt for more art assets or something. I could work on the art assets for the morphing animations for the Zerg, the new Zerg units and stuff. So like those are definitely areas where we need more stuff. Well, the priority for the patch hasn't really changed. The reason why it hasn't been done yet is because I've been focused, like I've tried to target more low level issues with the tech tree. Like the Protoss stuff had a huge overhaul recently. even among like within the fact that if you consider the development patch where it was a couple days ago, even not just like the current live patch, which is almost a month out now, I think, maybe 3 weeks out or something. Now the place that I'm at right now is a situation where I definitely need to like I needed to make some changes to make the new Protoss tech tree feel better and feel more complete, and that's definitely something that I've done. So, yeah, I just wasn't gonna be satisfied with shipping it in without really targeting some of those issues. So, I think that's mostly where some of the issues have come from. Okay, so aside from that, I mean, the big thing that's holding us back right now is AI. And the graphical changes of having the Zerg units hatch correctly, morphing like animation wise, it is a big deal. Like it seems like it's such a small thing, but it's super jarring to see like an overlord or a devourer or something instead of the actual unit. So when you see the wrong animation there, it's definitely something that needs to be handled. So, I basically I just have to decide on what I want to focus on, and at this point, I think it's appropriate to I'm personally game to start working on some of these birth I almost did it again, birth emoji. That's from the Varanus playthrough where I said Overlord birth emoji instead of birth animation. So, actually, where even is the... I'm not sure how the Gorgoleth birth animation got implemented. If I go to... Oh yeah, I can close the CSGO stuff. If I go to Gorgoleth and I find... oh no, it's in data rewrite. Construction 561020. Gorgoleth birth. Okay. So it looks like it's GRPID 13, right? And if I had to guess, that would be the Zerg cocoon. And so I just added frames to the cocoon. That's what I believe happened here. And so I need to sort of like take note of this stuff. So we'll call it 1222. Instead of Gorgoleth, what would this be? I don't think we need any more cocoons because we don't have any more air units that more... Oh, we do have the Nathricor cocoon. Well, the Nathricor mutates into a cocoon for the purpose of the Calcoleth. So, yeah, we'll call this Calcoleth birth, and it'll be the same one. I'll find 417 in here. So this is Gorgoleth birth. This is 1222. I'll move dummy down for now. Okay. So now let's make the actual frames. So obviously we need the Calcoleth itself. So I'll take this frame, and that'll be like almost it unfurling in a sense. I'll take this frame as well for a reference. And we'll take that as like the finished frame, if that makes sense. We can close that for now. Oh yeah, let me we'll say fixed construction web. Okay, so let's do the first thing here, which is get rid of that. Then, I'm not sure if I saved a PSD file for the Gorgolith birth, but I don't think that I did it in a very future-proof manner anyway, even if I did. So let's take a look here. It doesn't look like there was a... I don't even know where it would be. Maybe it's hidden away in here or something. Oh yeah, there it is. All right, so there's some stuff that I might want to take from there, but... 980 width. Okay. So 21, I guess. Or wait. Yeah, 26 actually. Okay, so I just want, like, now we have an end point, right? You know, we almost don't even have to bother editing this too much because it kind of does look like the tail already. But in the interest of keeping it somewhat consistent. This is a little bit time consuming, but I think it's worth it just for the sake of having that little piece. I think we can get away with a bigger selection. This unit always seems larger than it actually is to me for some reason. You. Yeah, we don't have too much space here. Only 2 more frames for like a major bit. I don't want it to be like too jarring in terms of where stuff gets positioned. Yeah, in this particular case, I think I need to go back into the frame here and try to line some of this stuff up here. I feel like that might actually be just enough, right? We can definitely take like frame 16 or whatever over here and sort of slap some goop on the situation and maybe reduce the opacity a bit and then call this done, I guess. Wasn't something that took too long, so you know. We'll see how it plays out in action, but I feel like that should be okay. Should be good enough anyway. And worst thing that happens is I just adjust a couple here and there. So we're starting at 30 and going to 36. And then we are going to go in here and find the calculus and do data rewrite. Unit construction 51. I think it's 1222. Yeah. And it goes to 36. Well, I guess technically 37, right? Now we actually still do need another. I need to make another graphic where the Nathracor sort of like morphs into a cocoon itself. Because right now it's, I think, using the Mutalisk animation to get into the cocoon, which is sort of like how the other units default to morphing like a Hydralisk. Like if you morph the Ultralisk morphs, it'll play a Hydralisk animation for getting into the egg. Which is kind of odd because like a really low effort way to fix that. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know why Blizzard defaulted it to that basically, but a super low effort way to fix that at the very least is like a placeholder. If you don't feel like making all of those animations, you just play the birth animation for the Ultralisk in reverse. So that's probably what I'll do for that. It's a little bit more challenging for the Nathracor because the Nathracor didn't exist in the base game, so it has no animation. But when I make the other problem is that when I make the birth animation for the Nathracor, where it hatches similar to a Mutalisk in that it comes out of the egg but also rises up to the final elevation that it's supposed to be at, that's a situation that I'm not really sure exactly how to get 100% aligned. And not only that, but I'm also going to have to, like, besides doing trial and error to figure that out, after the fact, I can't even reuse that animation for getting into the egg because it's going to morph into a cocoon like a Mutalisk morphs into a cocoon. So I've got to make a hatching animation and then a cocooning animation, metamorphosis animation. So anyway, long story short, that's what's going on. Oop. Go in here. Pop out over here. I still have this open. Fix that. And then, yeah, I guess I'll add this to the list of Zerg morph animations. Oh yeah, now that this webcam is here, I'm going to try a different format for the Batman video, since what I've realized, just by virtue of the video not being done yet, is that clearly I have some sort of block when it comes to that sort of thing. And I've also been admittedly quite busy doing other things anyway. So, I mean, I don't look at it like it's not something that absolutely needs to happen. Anyway, where I have to change the format in order to get the video done. But in the interest of not only doing this video, but also establishing a format that I could use to make videos in the future that'll still be of a good caliber that I'll put my name on, I'll be happy to put my name on it, but I'll actually crucially finish it without it being a real fucking pain in the ass to actually complete and get across the finish line. I think that makes sense to do something like that. So I'm going to be doing a different format where I appear on camera. If you've ever seen a Thorin's Thoughts video or Richard Lewis break down the news or pretty much anything like that, where it's somebody, they've got a topic and they speak into a camera and it's bullet pointed but not scripted. So it's that nice middle ground of giving you the practiced but not, again, not scripted intonation. And so it's a bit more off the cuff with at least a game plan, a map of the territory in that respect. So. I'm guessing what happened there is that I did not update the ISID. So we're looking at 513 for the architect, which would make this 514. Yeah. Let's try that again. So anyway, long story short, I'm quite happy with the acquisition of this camera. I think I have to set its facing angle correctly or something in unit stat, but otherwise that looked pretty smooth to me. I don't know about you guys. I'll play it again after I play around with this. Because I think I may have used a different frame than some of the other facing ones do. So, like if I jump into HYDRA Zerg, Calculeth. Yeah, I think I used frame 12, and maybe they default to frame 14 or something. So if I jump to the Calculeth's unit ID, which I think is 51, yeah. And I go to graphics, direction. Yeah, I'm going to set it to 13. And we'll try that. But yeah, I think it came out okay. We'll try it again. Aha! We got the wrong unit back. That's a nice bug. I can fix that, though, I know. What an exploit that would be, huh? It's also the wrong cocoon, apparently. That would be why, I think. Yeah, I think that works out, actually. That's pretty nice. And it really didn't take that long, either. It took me maybe a half an hour. I wasn't really keeping track of the time, but it didn't feel like it was a half an hour worth of work anyway, so... Even if it was that long, it was like... It's not that challenging. It's like a somewhat menial and somewhat like there is an element of tedium to it, but it's nice in that it's only a couple frames, and so you really only have to worry about 5 frames, I would say, and one of them is literally just a frame that segues nicely into the default animation frame of the unit, which is at the end. One of them is the cocoon frame at the beginning that you don't mess with at all, and then in between that, those 7 frames, right? So you get it's bookended by stuff you don't have to mess with, and then the interior is just very minor tweak, slightly more like and increasing in severity until you basically for the penultimate one you just do almost nothing to the final product. You add goop or whatever, so it's actually quite simple in that respect. So yeah, I think we'll go ahead and implement Calculeth birth animation. So yeah, again, really the only thing I'm worried about is while I'll make the animations, I don't know if it'll be now, but at some point I will be making animations for like the Nathracore getting into an egg and setting up the animations for the Ultralisk to get into the egg. I'm not really sure how to make the like that stuff work properly insofar as I don't know how to make it I don't actually know how to hook it up so that it uses the new graphic or the new frames of a graphic or something. I don't know how the Devourer or the Zergling one is, for example. So anyway, I've got to jump into GPTP and find the case for the Calculeth. Egg Calculeth. Go into entire solution. I'm pretty sure there should be something in here for API. No, there should be something in API for that. I'm not sure where it would be. If I just search Calculeth. So I've got is Zerg egg, is conventional unit morph result. Maybe it's in unit morph then, but there is some set of functions that handle. Yeah, it might be in unit morph. Let's jump in there. There's some set of functions that handle the unit you get on a refund and or a cancel or whatever. Yeah, return unit ID, egg Nathricor. So at least it's correct here. Oh, I know, that's Nathricor. Hold on. That should be egg Calculeth, so that's probably what happened, but I don't know why that would still be. I'm not sure what was missing there exactly. Yeah, so it was set up correctly over here, but for whatever reason it wasn't... Oh yeah, this should actually be... that. I'm not sure if it defaults to... No, it defaults to none. Yeah, I've got no idea what would happen then if you canceled the Devour in the current build, but anyway. I'm not even sure if the Devour Egg is used, so... Like, we get that, but... It's weird that we're still getting... it's still turning into a Guardian, an Egg Guardian. Oh, it's supposed to break here. That's why. If I had to guess, anyway. That's the only other thing that I could think of, so... What the fuck? That's weird. I don't know why it jumps back in terms of the position, but at least we fixed that bug. Okay. So, what else do we got here? I'm not sure if anybody in the chat knows a thing or two about wireless earbuds. I picked up some Samsung, I forget what they're called, truly wireless earbuds or something. They come in in a case that charges them. I just have had enough dealing with like the earbuds themselves that I use when I'm working or when I'm out walking. Like the cord gets stuck in a bunch of stuff, and figured I would go for a bit of a different approach, but I haven't tried them yet. And obviously they only work for the... They only work on the phone. They're not going to work on my desktop, so... Yeah, unfortunately, earbuds are really bad for general sound quality, but if you got to talk or whatever, it only makes sense. I wonder if they. I forget. I don't know how this. Okay, that's. I guess how it does it. I guess it goes through Bluetooth, but. And you have to deny contacts. Why is it asking me for contacts? It's pretty epic when they're like, we would like to access your contacts and location. And you say no. And then they ask you again anyway. Oh, apparently they're at 95% battery. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I guess I'll play around with those later on. All right. My music has just turned itself off, so it's time to go get some more. Then I'll have to decide. I guess the most impactful stuff that I could do. Oh, you know what? I completely forgot about something. It's that. What's it called? The morph animation for the Irolith and the Othsteleth. I don't know how I'm going to possibly do the Othsteleth without it having its own fucking cocoon of some kind. Like, that's pretty absurd, but anyway. 515, Irolith birth, and it's image ID 1223. Oh, I was using the wrong birth because I've, of course, got the wrong fucking. That's pretty funny. Very goofy. Alright, well that's set up. I'll jump into config and do. That real quick. That'll be a good one for the tendrils. So this should be relatively simple to do. Got to kind of change the elevation or whatever of that area sometimes. Make it match the perceived depth of the source frame. Look, guys, I made a new Zerg creature. Toothed cocoon. It broke in the middle of its birth animation, and now it's here to eat you. I could believe that. I really should. Hold on. I gotta pair all this stuff. The fuck? Oh, really? Yeah, I don't have any knowledge of the some of those original unit designs, at least as far as the Zerg stuff goes. I'm not aware of anything in that department. That is pretty interesting, actually. Like, I might use that for. I mean, I kind of use that for the Alcagelisk already, but it's more like a projectile spawns on the corpse and seeks out the nearest target. It's not like actually turning them into a unit that attacks. I mean, the corruption shtick is really embarrassingly cliche and boring, but like if you had to pick a concept or whatever that, like from a gameplay perspective, right? Not necessarily from a thematic perspective, I think that's pretty neat. The idea of turning somebody's army against them temporarily. I feel like oftentimes you're not going to get a very satisfying answer out of Blizzard when it comes to any sort of like action that they take in a yeah. Well, that's the thing is like I think they are generally more interested in playing it safe, right? So like that does actually happen. It's really sad too. Like anecdotes from Counter-Strike development as well have been something similar where it's like I got killed by an op, so I'm nerfing that or whatever, you know. So I think this might have to end up being the evolution or whatever of the placement there, and we're gonna need some sort of halfway in between of this stuff contorted to the fuck? How? I'll just start the process of it turning some of these. I don't know why it won't let me deselect more easily. It's pretty annoying. And this is where we'll also have like a nice bit of the lower body here come out, I think. That will help to sort of draw attention away, as far as I can tell. Sort of get the crown over here as well. Back on this one, I think. Should be within the margin of error there. I don't really know if it'll be within, like if this will be too much of a giant growth there, but we'll find out, I think. Yeah, that's kind of okay, I think. I'm looking at like the bottom mostly. I do think there's a big jump over here, so we might need to... It also like moves over quite a bit. I'm not sure if that'll line up properly or not. I think for this, we could probably copy that over there and just to take care of that. And where's our head at here? And that should smooth that out as well. So wait, hold on. We got a difference of 140 here, right? Like if we move this over here, it's 96. So we should be moving it over by 40, wait. 48 would be my assumption, right? And then we can do this. Okay. So this should be moved over by like probably 3 pixels. It's still kind of weird that it's offset that much. So I think I should actually go back and... If I bring in the DBMP again, what do we get here? Because if that's going to be the case, then I think we can sort of like... Well, we can't really shift the... I don't know. I'm not sure how we'll do it. But let me save this for now, and we'll see what that's like. Yeah, this sudden jerking over of the frame is obviously a problem. If that's actually what it lines up, how it lines up in the with the main graphic. So I'll figure out what the offset is. I think it is like, again, I think it's something like, something like 9 pixels offset to the left. Which means if we take like 2 to the left here, and then 2 more to the left, and then 2 more to the left. Maybe 1, 2, 2, 2. And that will be 7 pixels, and then this can be the last 2, I guess. Not sure. So in theory, that should still line us up here, given enough time. Yeah. Although, of course, maybe I'll do that. I guess the worst thing that happens is I just do a lot of undo actions. But if it's going to kind of be a... going to be annoying if I didn't need to do that at all, I guess. But I don't recall having that issue with any of the other ones. So that's what makes me think it's most likely something that I needed to error correct. So we're looking at 44 frames. All right, let's see if that worked out. Apparently, script 515 does not exist. Because I'm goofy. Let's try that one again. So it's being moved over after it's completed, is what I can see here. That's actually a bug in terms of the gameplay, but I can't really see if it's an accurate animation until that's fixed. What's up, Sky Cycle? Welcome. If you got any follow-up questions after you consult the documentation, feel free to ask. Hope you're doing well. All right, let me minimize this for now. What's going on, Renato? Welcome. I'm wondering what might be causing that. I did see something in the unit morph code here that's like position or something, like should not change position. Yeah, no offset since the morphed unit should stay where it is. Aha, here we go. Yeah, so I just need to add more cocoon stuff. So this would be like egg, calcoleth, egg, iroleth, egg, otstaleth. All right. Oh, I see what happened here. Missed some parentheses there. So I'm glad I accidentally stumbled upon that anyway, because that will probably fix the Nathra core bug that we saw earlier. Still being moved afterwards. So I'm not sure. Although I wonder if this has something to do with like I'll test the calcoleth one out. No, that one also is still fucked up for some reason. It's weird that it doesn't happen to the calcoleth when it's done. It only happens to the Nathra core when it's canceled. Meanwhile, it does happen to the iroleth when it's done. It also happens to the overlord when it's canceled, though. So The only thing that I can think of about that is that maybe there's some weird code going on where the, because it doesn't happen to any of these, right? Yeah, these are all in the right positions, so I'm pretty confused about that then, because I've got we have very little of an understanding as to what exactly I'm supposed to be doing with that information. So it doesn't happen to any morphs from Mutalisks. It doesn't happen to morphs from Nathracores. Trying to think of what the Nathracores is just the devouring one, so there shouldn't be any unit ID hardcode that handles both Mutas and Nathracores. So I don't really know. Trying to see here. Like, obviously the Alcagilisk, bearing in mind it doesn't have an animation, that appears to be correct as well. So, like, it's weird that we're getting this problem. But this should cover it, basically, is what I'm getting at. Like, I don't know why it doesn't. Like, it's even the Arlith Cocoon. It's definitely the Calculith Cocoon. We get the right unit ID. Yeah, that's very confusing. But we've done the Irelith animation, which is really all that matters, and I guess I'll be able to take a look at whether or not the Irelith animation is any good a little bit later on once we get to the point where we have, like sort of like what I was saying there, once we get to the point where we have a bit more of an understanding as to what all is happening with being able to see it affixed to the same position. So I'm not sure why that bug exists, but we've at least done that much. So yeah. I'll go ahead and organize that when I return. I'm going to take a quick bathroom break, so stay tuned for the last little bit of the stream, maybe another half hour to an hour before I hit the sack. But we'll be getting some work done on either more animations or some AI or something unrelated to either of those, but something related to Hydra for sure. So I'll see you guys in a little while. All right, I have returned. Trying to think if there are any other new air units that need birth animations. I guess the Nathracor would be the next one, but that's starting out as a ground-based unit, right? So, So we'll say air birth. Well, I guess new birth air, new birth ground. Core birth. Well, I guess really it doesn't make any sense to worry about any of these until after you take a look at the PSD itself. So let's take a look at what the spawn looks like for, or the setup looks like for the lurker birth animation. Looks like they have their own GRP entries, and they follow a similar pattern of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 7 frames, just like what we were looking at earlier for the air ones, and then something like that. Okay, so I can start to set this up with ISID 36. We can jump this down here, and we'll call this one Nathracor birth. We'll call that 1224. Now the GRP ID is going to be a custom one, but the ISID is 36. So graphic turn 0. Should be relatively straightforward other than that. And then for the Nathracor, set it to 1244. Okay. So as far as that's concerned, then we are going to jump into the source graphic for this particular thing. What's the file name for this stuff again? Z-Lu birth is the lurker. I'll take Z-Mu birth in that sense. Assuming that's in here somewhere. And we're gonna so we've got 672 width-wise. Which means our frame dimensions are 96. And we'll say... I guess I should, what is this? 160 height-wise? Wow. All right, so now we've got our sort of basis for the air animation here. So unlike the other stuff for this particular one, I am going to have to play around a little bit more with some of this stuff. I noticed that, I don't know if this is like Blizzard just being fucking goofy, but you notice how it actually starts out facing the direction that I used for the Calculath, direction 12, and then they changed to 14. Like, they only changed to it after the fact. The first 3 frames, because 3 are the direction 12, 13 one. Like, I don't know why. Oh, okay. Yeah, I honestly completely forgot about texture GRP, to be honest with you, TF. I've been so fucking busy lately with Starcraft stuff and other stuff, so. But hopefully you're feeling better. And it's, you know, still in good health and all that. That's certainly the important thing here. Okay, so... And thanks for letting me know about your work on it. Obviously, we'll contort the sub stuff later on, but for now, I'm just getting rid of all of the stuff that's like very much Mutalisk specific. I can probably integrate a lot of this other stuff or selectively unmask some things as time goes on. We just want to get rid of that defining shape of the Muta in this particular case. The wings and all that can go completely. And then once we're done with that, actually, I'll save this as like a basis, very, very standard, straightforward PSD file. And then I'll use that as the basis for my air morphs. And, you know, the only other one is the Alcagelisk, I think. That's ground into air, so. Not sure if we'll be starting on that one because it's quite a large one, but... Right, so you're not quite completely clean bill of health or whatever, but close enough that it doesn't it's not bothering you as much, maybe. I'm gonna leave the last frame there actually, because I want to line that up with, positionally speaking, where the Nathra core is going to go. So. I guess I could have left that open, but whatever. Yeah, there you go. Well, I'm glad to hear that at the very least. Well, I'm handling some animations right now, as you can see. Birth animations. I've already done the iroleths and the calcoleths. Those were relatively simple. This one's probably going to be a bit more involved, but it should still be something that I can handle. And I should probably be able to muster up whatever sort of motivation is required to bang out the last of the animations at some point. I am kind of saving the bigger ones for last, the Alcagelisk and the Othsteleth. And obviously, other than that, I still need to do the Cascathalor and maybe one or two other things, like taking the Nathracor and actually making it like merge into the cocoon, so it's not playing the Mutalisk animation, and having the same thing happen for the Overlord and the Iroleth. So there's some stuff that I'm going to need to do that's art related, but I should be able to handle all that stuff unless you feel like if you feel like there's some contribution you want to make there. But as you just pointed out, observance overlay, and I sent you a list of like I think it's literally called like endless icons or something. So like stuff like that. Yeah, there's some stuff for sure. But. What's up, Veek? It's going. I was just responding to a. Oops, that's not really what I wanted to do at all. I was just responding to a DM. And right now I'm working on some birth animations. How do you mean by upgrade tech icons that are no longer withstanding? Oh, you're talking about when I initially created the list of like the task sheet for icons or whatever. Oh wait, there's an art one. Icons. Let's see. Well, yeah, some stuff in here is no longer the case. There, I'll have to go through this and find. Yeah, I'm gonna have to find certain things like the Odysseus reactor is no longer in the game. There's definitely gonna be some things that. And anything that says upgrade for like if it's a toggle or something and there's a tech, like there's going to be like direction upgrade versus direction something else. Or if it's something for research, you don't have to worry about that. But at some point I will go through and update stuff. Yeah. Yeah. No, like it's just one of those many things that since it didn't seem like they were being worked on, which is understandable considering all the other work that you've been doing anyway. I haven't even thought about them in so long, so. Yeah. Even if Hydra's available, I've been enjoying the CS stuff. So if like unless there's just absolutely no interest in it, I think we'll still do that once a week, and then we'll just have another game night scheduled for Hydra stuff. Yeah, there was another discussion about that somewhat recently where people. I can't actually remember who I was talking about. I think it was Fagudo, but there was I think some other people also chipped in. But there was a more recent discussion about it on the server, maybe last night or the night before. I have really like red pilled myself on that, honestly. Like ever since I considered what Mesk was talking about, I've just thought of it, and it feels so much like it's some sort of dead end now. Like I can't believe it took me so long to consider that I don't know. For whatever reason, I just never considered that stuff. So it's pretty funny. Jesus. Dude, I'm trying to interview somebody from fucking Australia and just realized it's not a 9-hour difference, I think, or yeah, it's a straight up 9-hour difference. Okay, how am I gonna handle that one? All right, let's try and focus on this because no reason for it to take quite so long. I almost feel like maybe I should actually be moving this up slower in vertically. Yeah, I mean, like the main issue is that it's an inalienable advantage. Once you get it, it's very difficult to unget it, if that makes sense. So I am real. I thought I was. I fiddled with the lighting earlier and moved the light. I have a lamp over there, and I moved it out over into a different angle. I am realizing now that the part of my face that is shrouded in fucking darkness is actually this part right here is facing the wall. There is no fucking light source over there. One of the things that I might mess around. Hold on, actually, just because it's triggering me. Like, It's a little too blue, I guess, but my camera's trying to adapt to the rapidly changing conditions. Yeah, for whatever reason, I like the exposure settings are set pretty wildly. No, I guess that is an improvement. Yeah. That seems pretty good. It's just I'm trying to make it so that there's not much of a glare on my fucking monitor. Maybe I'll just get used to it, I don't know. I mean, I guess the main issue with the abilities being unlocked that way is that it does add a little bit more to the it adds a little bit more to the sense of like an information gap or something, I guess. I'm not really sure how I would describe it other than that. So like there's more info that you need to have in order to make like really good decisions. At least that's kind of an assumption I have about the whole situation. Let's move that over to frame 4 for now. Because out of curiosity, I'm going to move this back over 96. And it looks like it's about 5 down. So do the same thing over here. All right, let me just jot down that calendar thing. Calendar fantasies. Semi-pro. Okay. No, I do think it's a significant improvement. I think you get a more of an improvement out of the upgrades being way less fucking like I'm not even sure how to describe it other than saying that it's a significant improvement, but it's just like infinitely better to not have to worry about that in the same way. to have a lot more flexibility generally. So I think I'll just goop these guys later because right now I feel like it's more important for me to set this up in a bit of a different manner. Just want to pose them for now. Yeah, you almost want resource areas and other like map objects in a way. Like I classify resource areas the same way that I would classify something like if I wanted to put an item shop into the game or something. Like I think, I mean, maybe even honestly, in the far future when we have the engine hooked up and we've got like end game tech levels situations, I think you'll probably be able to jump into the real weird deep end with some things. Like maybe there will be a race that can create resource areas themselves, and those resource areas are not permanent and will mine out. Maybe there will be a faction or some sort of technology that can destroy resource areas permanently, or at least like make them inaccessible, and you have to excavate them. Something similar to what iquare's done with his mod, where there's excavation of resources to create resource areas from scratch, basically. Like I don't even think that necessarily has to be permanent in all cases, but I do think that there should be some element of interaction with when a map object is removed from the game. Like it should have been a player decision to do that, you know? So and there should be some counterplay to that decision if your incentive is to not allow that to happen or whatever. So but yeah, I agree that removing like player owned permanence in that sense is a good idea in my opinion. Yeah, there you go. That's another good point, I think. All right, let's see this in action. I think this will be nice. $11.52 is our GRP ID. By the way, I'm not sure if anybody's noticed any differences in the color settings. Obviously, my webcam is different, but I've also changed the color palette. I'm not really, or the color profile of the stream stuff. So I'm not even really sure if that has anything to do with anything, but at all. But figured I would bring it up there. Hey, that's pretty smooth, I think. I like that. Hold on. All right, hold on. It's kind of weird that the shadow only shows up partway through. I'm not sure if that's the case for mutas. It is, yeah. That's pretty unfortunate. Differences in what? Obviously, I don't know why it doesn't use the Zergling animation that I made, but... Oops, I went a little too fast there. Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry, I asked that question and then I forgot the fuck that I asked the question. Classic. Cool. Check that one out, dude. I feel pretty good about that. That's really nice that we managed to put that together. So go ahead and implement Nathracore and HYDRA animation. Yeah, you know what really fucked with me earlier today is there were there were a number of issues with the way that how do I even like explain this? So there were some recording issues that we ran into when we were working with when I was doing the interview with Richard Lewis today, and I only found out after the fact that recording in the color accurate uh, color profile means that I can't edit the video after the fact in Vegas, so I had to re-render it once just to edit it in Vegas and re-render it again. I don't think that's something you can work around with something like another editing software, but I didn't try any other editing software. I'm not really sure. I maybe DaVinci or something can do it, but I'm pretty sure Premiere has the same issue. Either way, it was really annoying and not something that I wanted to deal with. But I also remember that when I changed my color profiles, that's when we had that Mixer issue where the colors were really dark on Mixer and Twitch, but not on YouTube. And so I'm not sure if the colors are really any better on Twitch now. But in theory, you know, maybe that contributed positively. I don't know. At this point, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna need to move the lighting some more. Like I don't think this lighting solution that I have over here is really going to do me too much good. Either I'm gonna have to move the setup a little bit more or something else, because if I'm doing anything at night like now, there's no natural light coming in from the window. So I'm probably going to have to move the Yeah, I think I'll try moving the lamp that's on my desk right now to behind the monitors. There's like a little gap that I could probably fit it in, and maybe that will help. Yeah, actually, let me just try to do that now because no point in like fucking around trying to waste time theory crafting when you could be doing it. I guess I should probably find a permanent resting place for some of this stuff. Yeah, I don't think I need these anymore. Famous last words, I guess. Not have these sitting here, but whatever. The other problem is that the lamp is already plugged in. Uno momento. All right, let's try that. All right, and turn the lamp off to my right. Oh, that's much better. Yeah, I don't even think we need this. Yeah, that's way better. Holy shit. I look like an actual human being instead of a pale motherfucker. Well, now I gotta put this other one back. XD. Hope you guys appreciate that my chair has a fucking mind of its own now. I set up that chair with the help of my mother yesterday in the afternoon, and it's pretty good, I guess. I think it's at least a side grade, if not. I do actually like the firmness of the seat a little bit more, and it's just less beat up. That like it's a new chair, so less beat up than the other stuff. Yeah, the color is way better. All right, glad we figured that out. I should wear Mike for the Halloween monster, dude. I have a gorilla mask, so I guess I could wear gorilla, but oh, I'm rolling. All right, the chair finally stopped. This chair, yeah, that's like the one side the issue with this chair. By the way, I did never finish my train of thought, but it does roll. It's very easy to roll. I guess I can do some like yoga stretches or something. It's pretty amazing. But yeah, I don't know if I can wear Mike. He's not hollow, despite being a skull. He is a foam skull. But hey, at the very least, you guys can make out Mike in higher quality detail. Now that we have this new webcam, you guys can see Mike better. Check him out. Just saying, man, he's the real deal. All right, so I've got 4 more animations that are birth animations to do. One of them is contingent on me actually getting a custom graphic for the basilisk. Obviously, I'm not going to bother doing a reskin, like recolor of the hydralisk morph animation or whatever. I think it's fine that it's fucked up color wise or whatever because it's the same silhouette. Everything else is the same. So, like I don't really care about that. But if I can grab a custom graphic that I can use for that, I was thinking of using something from Armageddon, but now that I actually have the right SPR files, in theory, that's something that I can do. So we'll see. Anyway, aside from that, I've got to do the Othsteleth, Alcagelisk, and Cascathalor animations for them actually birthing. And then for morphing, like a unit turning into a cocoon or an egg, Overlord, Iroleth, Nathricor, Ultralisk. Ultralisk is super easy. We'll just reuse the birth animation, I think. If we're feeling fancy, we might change that up. Nathricor should be relatively simple just because it's a small surface area, and morphing to a cocoon is relatively easy, I think. Actually, all of them really shouldn't be that challenging, but the Overlord and the Iroleth will be a little bit more involved in terms of the number of parts that I need to compress and stuff. And so I'll probably start with the Nathricor there. That'll completely finish the issue with the Calcoleth, because the Calcoleth morphs from the Nathricor. So it'll be super easy in that respect to get that taken care of. But other than that, it'll be all about Overlord, Iroleth, Ultralisk for that sort of thing. And like I said, the Ultralisk is basically done. I just need to actually hook it up somehow. So that's more of like a programming thing in some cases. The art generation shouldn't be that long. Aside from that, though, the big hitters are the Othsteleth and the Alcagilisk being so large that it's going to be interesting to set them up, but again, shouldn't be that difficult to do. Alcagilisk is going to have that added problem of having to elevate. So just by virtue of that, I'm probably going to have to like figure out how many pixels off the bottom of the screen it needs to be based on like looking at the Nathricor and the Mutalisk one that is already exists. I'm going to have to figure out how far up from the bottom of the egg graphic or something, like how many pixels up the lowermost pixel needs to be or something like that, or the center of mass, I guess. And then I'm going to need to I'm going to need to canvas out enough space so that it remains center, but still has enough space on top, because the Alcagilisk graphic is large and I need to make sure that I have enough space for it. Similarly, the Othsteleth might need to have different dimensions for its frames. And if that ends up being the case, it might just need to have a different GRP entirely in terms of like being separate from the cocoon graphic, which is going to be a little bit annoying, but probably the smarter way to do it anyway, because that's how the ground units are done. So that's probably how I should have done all of them. But that's Monday morning quarterbacking, so whatever. Zerg birth animations, Zerg morph animations. Okay, yeah. So obviously AI changes are also high on the list of priorities, but we're a ways off from being done with those. So anyway, that's all I have for now. It's cool that we were able to figure out some lighting solutions for even in the middle of the dark, even during the dark. And yeah, this 2.5 hour mod stream brought to you by, hold on, I've got to go find it. Brought to you by my interview with Richard Lewis. Check it out. And there you go. Wow. I will say I'm surprised that it got that many views and that many thumbs up so quickly. But I guess when you got Richard Lewis, he's a pretty cool guy. People will come out to see him. So check that out. I'll be shilling it on the internet tomorrow as well. So that'll be the thing that I ride for a little bit while I wait for the next couple of interviews to do. Tomorrow there's going to be a Friday night. We'll do some CS. I'll probably do the morning mod stream again. Get back on that schedule. And aside from that, I will probably also do a dad call. But other than that, I'm going to take the weekend. I'm not going to do any interviews over the weekend. I'm just going to focus on Starcraft development, try to get this patch taken care of, but also try to get that Batman video done. So you can stay tuned for that. And once the Batman video is done, I can focus on finishing up the other things that I wanted to do video content wise. I can go back to like doing some playthroughs. I'll do in Consummate finally. I'll move on to Dead Space 2. I think Fear 2 is on the list. And that Hungarian Starcraft campaign as well. So in Consummate's playthrough will be recorded offline. I think Huncrafts will be live streamed just because it's a bit, I don't expect it to be particularly worthy of hard-boiled analysis in the same way. I mean, I don't think in Consummate's that great of a project, but at least there's a lot that I can say about it, unlike Huncraft. So that'll probably be a live stream. Dead Space 2 and Fear 2 will be live streams. Anyway, I'll get into more of that a little bit later. I'll probably talk about that in a dadcom where once the Batman video is actually done, and maybe go over the planning for the video content or whatever. So thanks for hanging out, everybody. Thanks, DF, for your work on the texture GRP that you say is nearing completion. That's going to be very, very nice when we have that done. And aside from that, wave emoji, frog emoji. See you later.